the webinar. So that being said, knowing that this is questions and answers and that that's the goal, what questions do you all have for me? Don't everybody jump up at once, but go ahead, type your questions either in the chat or in the questions box. You can... the other thing you can do, if you have a microphone on your computer and you have a question, I am more than welcome. If you say, hey, I have a question, I can unmute you so that you can ask your question in the group. But I do want to make sure that this is really focused on what you all want to learn. Looks like we've got a couple people jumping on here as we go. All right. So since no one's asked any questions, what I'm going to start doing is I'm just going to start going through everything underneath this listings tab. I want to make sure that you know what you have access to. And I'm going to make sure that I'm in as an agent so that it looks like your screen will look. So underneath this listings tab, you have a few options. The first one takes you right to that main listings dashboard where you can actually see all of your listings. You can easily go to the actions tab and you can share your actions or your listings right from this Be Social. You can put them on Twitter, you can put them on Facebook, you can put them on Pinterest, and you can put them on the World Wide Web. Google Plus is going away, so that icon will also be going away. When you open up and edit your listing, you have also the opportunity here to print or email a flyer at the top, or you can schedule an open house. When you schedule an open house, it automatically will show on your website. So if I said, hey, I'm hosting this on Friday, and then I go to the web page for this listing, it's always going to show your open house at the top of the screen. So again, I opened up the listing, I went to listings, clicked on my listings, opened up the listing, and I clicked on that open house to schedule it. All I had to do is put in the date and the time that it was being held. If it's your listing and you have someone else that is hosting it, you just choose that agent from the drop-down box. And then you click finish. Again, when you go to the website, it will automatically populate and show that your listing is being held open. It will also show who's holding it open so that people are aware of who's going to be at that house. At any time, if you have any questions about anything, please go ahead and type them either in the chat box or in the question box. We're just going to spend about 15 to 20 minutes today. This is really meant to be a question and answer session for you. And so anything that you have questions on, please feel free to ask. If you want to print or email a flyer from your listing, you can click on this print or email flyer in the upper right-hand corner. You can choose from all the realistic templates, and a lot of you also have company templates that you can choose from. To switch to your company templates, you just choose from the drop-down to company templates. And here you go in and you can say, hey, just reduced or flyer or postcard. It's going to automatically insert the photos from the MLS for you. And then, of course, if you want to change the photos, you can hover over any of these to change them. You can edit the image. You can go to the property images that it's pulled from MLS, and you can select. It will highlight the best shape. And then you click finish to do that. That's a very good question. So there's a question that says, when making a flyer, can both bullets and remarks be added? And I believe, Sue, what you mean is, can you have the listing details and the remarks? So if I click here, it has just the description. but I'm not using all of the characters. So what I recommend, Sue, is if you want to have both here, and the flyer I chose has the description and then it has the details right underneath here. So it has the place for the square foot. But some of the flyers, when you click here, you can either have the description or the listing details. I always recommend if you want to add information to this, you can. Let's see, what does it say? Private location, spacious rooms for out, steel fencing gates for all 9.9 acres. Imagine enjoying a glass of iced tea on the 8 foot, on the maybe 100-foot square foot deck. So you can add those remarks here. Does that answer your question, Sue? We'll look at a flyer that has a different layout so that I can show you what I mean by that too. So after you put in and you make all your edits, you can either save an email, you can save it and print, or you can just save that flyer. Once you save it, it does not show up underneath the listing. It shows up underneath the marketing and underneath my saved content. So I can then go in and I can say, okay, well, where's that flyer? Maybe the category contains reduced. And I can see that Kimberly Lane flyer. And then from here, I can print it, email it, or edit it. Let's go walk through a different flyer layout, though, so that other people, Sue, can see what you're talking about as well. So the question about, can it show details and description? Let's select this one. So on this flyer, as I scroll down to the bottom, once everything's in, it's going to have a section that says right here where it says, hey, this is the MLS number, value, and so this is the detailed bullet list. And then you have the option of the description. What I recommend is if you want both of these, that I would take these values and I would just add them into the description. So I would say, if you're looking for more information, the MLS number is this, there's this many square feet, and I would add that into this description. So a couple other things underneath that listing tab that I would just want to make sure you all know about is that you do have the option to add attachments. So if you have something that the seller wants to be public, that means it's listed on the website for the listing. You can actually upload a file here. So you can upload the property condition report. You can upload the CCRs. You could upload maybe the neighborhood plot map so that they knew where the parks were. You could upload information about where the local schools were or the public bus route. You could actually upload a file here and it would be public. The next tab on your listings that you're going to have is an open house. And this is just a listing of all of the open houses that are happening. And then you have two other options, showings. So some offices are using IQ for scheduling their showings. What are you using to schedule your showings? I'm just typing really quick. I'm going to do a quick poll to find out what y'all are using to schedule your showings. Are you using, does your MLS have a service? Do you just write them down in a planner? Are you using your lock boxes? What are you using to schedule your showings? Perfect. So, it looks like at least all of you are using something, which is awesome. If you wanted to use IQ Office for your showings, and it looks like Bob is, you could do that. So you could actually say, I need to create a showing request. I put the agent information in. I put the date and the time in. I can put instructions for the agent and directions for the agent. I can write notes for myself to make sure that I'm keeping all my listings intact. And if you want, you can put your seller information in here as well. The nice thing about that is you can actually say that the confirmation happens by the seller. You want them to be notified. You want to be notified. I'm going to put in the selling agent here, and I'm going to add a seller here. Let's see if Karen's in here. So you can either add your own seller or you can type them in. I can say, hey, we want to show the home from this time to this time. It is a preview. I want to send them a survey about the home. Maybe I've created a survey that I want to go out right after. And then all I have to do at the bottom is click save. When I do that, the seller is automatically notified. It says bad request because this is not a real email. And all of your showings will show on this screen, whether they're completed, they're pending, or they're confirmed. It all shows there, which is a really nice feature to have it all in one place. It also is a nice feature if you're paying for something else and you want to stop paying, you can actually do it here. If you want your showings to show up here and you're using something like centralized showing service or showing time, talk to your office administrator or your manager. If the showing service is willing to provide IQ with a feed, that is something that can be built. You also can set up reports. So you can set up reports for your sellers to automatically go out. You can put in the information about the competition. You could put information about the location. It's really cool. You can actually say, hey, I want to use a map location and I need to zoom in. Let's actually zoom out and see where I am in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, good. So I can say, hey, I need to actually scroll in and I need this map location right here. And I need to know about the competition that's in this section. I can say, hey, I want to know my listing details. I want showing activity. If you're using the system for showings, if you're not using the system for showings, don't check that box. I want web activity. I want a competition report. I want to show the competitive listings. And then you can schedule it. So I can say, hey, this is going to go out every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks or every week. I can also preview it. If I just click view, it's going to pull up the listing and it's going to show everything. So here's the web activity overview. Here's the competition. What's happened? Are there price changes? Have things gone under contract? Here's all the other listings that would fall into that category based on what you put in. So that is a little bit of the overview of what is happening underneath the listings tab when you go to listings here and listings and everything that you can do with an individual listing. The next section that I want to just briefly go through is open houses. And so you can actually go in and you can schedule your open houses here. You can see all scheduled open houses on this tab. You also, if you have an opportunity where you're looking for someone to host your listing open, you can actually schedule open house opportunities. So I can say, hey, I need my listing to be held by, create as an opportunity. I'm looking for someone this Saturday from, let's say 10 to 3 finish. And now it is in as an opportunity. Now all the agents in your office can see that opportunity and they can go in and elect to hold it open. So you can go in and you can create opportunities. You can also go in and just see everything that's happening and what is scheduled, which is a great, great tool. The next thing that I want to show you under here is video tours. So a lot of companies are now using the video tour section, and this is where you can actually go in and you can see all the video tours for your listings if they're created. So that's how you access those video tours. For more information on that, you can check out the YouTube channel, and there's information on how to edit those videos as well. Are there any questions? Are there any comments? What are you all thinking about? How are you using it for your listings? How are you using it for your open houses? Do you want more information on creating flyers or creating new listing campaigns or creating new listing action plans? What can I help you with your business? Okay, I'm going to jump in then and talk about what's in the marketing tab for listings or just in general, Jeanette? So underneath that marketing tab is going to be all your tools that you have for doing marketing within IQ Office. Things like creating flyers and email flyers, to blogging, to ordering postcards, to creating digital email campaigns. Everything about marketing is underneath the marketing tab, and you can do a lot. So you can actually go in and you can create content, whether you choose My Saved Content underneath print marketing or underneath e-marketing. Either place you can access your library of content you've created. You can create content here that is either based on properties or on content that is maybe about moving or what's your home worth or holiday cards. There are hundreds of templates in here for you to use. I can say, hey, maybe I want to do this buyer's neighborhood e-blast. Yikes, buyers want your neighborhood. If you're thinking of selling, now's the right time. And I can actually save that content, or I can save and email it out right from here. Anything that I highlight over, I can actually edit. So as I see this pencil appear, that is information that I can edit. If I hover over something and a pencil doesn't appear, then I cannot edit that content. Once you go in and you create content, you can then attach it to a campaign. So you can actually go in then and go to a marketing campaign, and maybe you want to send it out. You have a past client campaign, and I can add an event, and I can add that saved content. I'm going to go to my content. I'm going to choose the category of, let's see. I don't remember what I set it as. So I'm going to say, hey, I want to use this content. Then I choose the subject line. I choose how I want to send it using a date, a month, an interval. I choose the date, I choose the time, and I click finish. And now that event has been added to that campaign. So again, to do that, I went to marketing. I went to my saved content. I created the content. Then I went to my campaigns and I added the event to a campaign. The reason that I create the event first, the content first, is because I want to make sure that if I want to ever reuse that content, I can. So if I want to email it out and print it out, I can do that. If I have also maybe several different campaigns that are really targeted on individuals within certain groups, I can create it that way. So Jeanette, it depends on if you choose to email it or download it and print it. So you can say email it, and you can say, hey, I want to send out this email, and I can actually connect it to my contacts here. So I can say, hey, I want to send it out to these 3 contacts. If you're sending to over 50 contacts, you need to have it sent out as a campaign. The anti-spam laws require that you have an unsubscribe if you're sending out mass emails, and that's how you stay in compliance with it. You add the event to a campaign. But I can actually email this out right here. I can say, hey, this is on the market now. Here's the flyer, and I'm going to send it. The other thing I can do is I can print it. So if I say, hey, I want to print this so that I can have flyers at my open house, that's going to process. It's going to take a quick minute, and then it's going to pop up with a download. So you can do it either way. Now I have a download of that flyer. So the next thing you would need to input your contacts. So your contacts you can input by going to customer relations, and you can actually import everybody, or you can go in and you can add them individually. So I can add individual contacts by clicking the plus new in the upper right-hand corner, or I can go in and I can go to customer relations and import my contact. The contact import wizard will walk you through it. The next section I do want to talk about when it comes to listing is creating a listing action plan. So you can actually go in and you can create an action plan for your new listings. You would choose the action plan type of listings, and you would name your plan here. When you do that, you click save, and then you can go in and you can add events to the action plan. So again, to get here, I went to tools, I went to my action plans, and then I went to plus new. I put the information in to create the new action plan, and I clicked save. Then to edit the action plan, I just click on the action plan and it opens the edit screen. Barb, did that make sense when I did it again? Yep, no problem. So when I click on add an item, there are a lot of items you can add to a listing action plan. Follow-up requests, add to campaigns, order your marketing items, share on social, add the sellers, set up your seller report. And you can say, so I can say, hey, I want to share this on social and I want it to be visible to the seller. I want to say this is going to be a Facebook share, and I'm going to save. I can then add additional follow-ups. I can say follow-up requests, seller check-in, weekly. I can say, okay, this is going to be due after 7 days. It's going to repeat, yes, and I want it to repeat every 7 days, and I want it to repeat for 20 times, for 20 weeks. And then I go ahead and I click save. Now I can see, okay, I've got a Facebook share and I've got a seller weekly check-in. I can add things like order my marketing items. And I want that to be due 2 days after, because then by then I've had a chance to set my open house date. Keep in mind, if you're ordering items, that it takes 10 to 14 business days for them to process and get sent out at this time. So you want to make sure you're giving yourself enough time that they're hitting the mail and hitting mailboxes when you want them. That is to be delivered from conception to delivery. You can add as many things to this action plan as you would like. What I recommend is going in and creating an action plan for all of your different types of listings. So an action plans for relists, an action plan for reduced properties, an action plan for resale, an action plan for new construction if you're working new construction, an action plan for vacant land, because what you do for a vacant land property is very different than what you're going to do for a relist situation. What's really cool is you can go up into your profile by clicking on your name and going to profile, and then going to preferences, and about halfway down it says default action plans, and I can actually choose a just listed action plan and say, hey, I want this to be my new listings actions required. And every new listing I take, I want it to automatically assign this just listed action plan. And I want for every listing that I get to have this just reduced action plan assigned as soon as it's reduced. So you have a way to actually control and automate a little bit of your life so that all your new listings that you're taking automatically have an action plan associated with them. Other questions that you have for me? We've got about 4 minutes left before the half hour time frame is up. I do want to make sure you know there's no such thing as a silly question. If you're thinking that you have a question, someone else has the same question. Yeah, so on your homepage, if you have actions assigned to a listing or to a contact, it's going to show up right here on your to-do list. So you can actually go in and enter your to-do list. And I do want to make sure that you all know that you are muted, so I can't hear you if you're asking questions. If you can type them in the chat box, it would really help me out. On your homepage, Jeanette, this is just your homepage. This is what shows up when you log in. So you don't have to worry about how to get there. Or are you talking about how to get to your action plans? Perfect. So again, to get to those action plans, you go to your tools or preferences and you click on My Action Plans. And that opens up your main action plan dashboard. I was reading an article the other day, and I'll just share this tidbit of information with y'all. And it says that people who work with lists are actually way more likely to do a few things. And one of them is achieve goals, and the other one is earn more money. And they say that the reason that people that have and work from lists and actually create lists, action plan lists, whether it's in our system or on a piece of paper, is that as you're crossing things off your list and you're achieving your goals, your motivation level goes up, and your brain reacts to that increased motivation, and you seek higher goals and you seek more efficiency in your time management. And so I really do encourage you to create action plans and create lists for yourself so that you make sure you're following up with people, because it really does change your mindset, and it also changes the way that you interact with your clients. It also, I mean, and it's not, this is not just me saying it, it's a scientific resource and fact, and they're doing a lot of research on it. It makes you more productive, and it gives you greater success. So I really hope that you do start using these lists and these checklists. So to attach there's a question that says, how did you get to set your default action plans? And you would go up into your profile and you click on your profile and then you go to your preferences. And about halfway down that page, there's something called default action plans. And then you can add your just listed action plans, your just reduced action plans, new lead action plans. And you can also, if you want to assign all your existing leads to an action plan, you could do that as well. But it is really important to be able to have a list, have a plan, work your plan, and engage on a personal level with people. Other questions that you all have. You want to make sure that you're getting the most out of this. This really was intended to be a listings question and answer session. And so knowing that you have some tools here underneath your listing, whether it is sharing it on social media by using the quick actions tab, or going in and setting up your seller reports underneath that reports tab. I think that's awesome. You also can, on this home screen of your listing, create and print email flyers and promote your open houses. And then going into your tools and creating those listing action plans for the different types of listings that you take, so that you have a custom plan based on what you do for your listings and things don't slip through the cracks. I think that's very important in your business. So we're past that half-hour mark. I do want to make sure that I'm valuing your time. I don't have any other content to go over today. I want to make sure there are no questions. Other questions? Sure. I can show you that. So Jeanette, if I click on the Facebook tab, it actually opens up my Facebook page and it links the property to it. And then I can say something like, great home in a wonderful neighborhood. And then if you want to change where it goes, you would just choose from this drop down box. So it actually opens it up. It takes the link for that listing and automatically populates it here. And all that was done just by clicking. You can either click it here or you can click from here. Either works. We try to make it as easy as possible. Other questions? As I knock over my water bottle. The next thing I do want to just show you is you all, and the last thing is you all will be getting this automated listing email when you have a listing that goes live that allows you to easily share the links for your listing. It gives you all the websites for your listing. You can either download or customize a flyer from your listing right from the email, or you can customize or order postcards right from this email. So y'all will be getting this as you start to take more listings into the springtime, which I'm sure we're all glad is coming. And you should watch for those in your inbox, because it also, the goal is that you know when your listing's live on MLS and on your company website, and you can easily go in and share whether you are on your cell phone running around showing property, or you're sitting at your desk, or maybe you're at the gym and working out and you see that email come through, because I know y'all work all the time. Andrew, are you talking about the postcard order? Barb, you need to make sure you click save at the top. Andrew, I'm coming back to your question. So when I go here and I go to my profile and I change anything, make sure you click this save button before you exit out. And Andrew, I believe what you're talking about is when I go in here and I set up the report and I set the location. Is that what you're talking about? You can't see my screen. Hang on a second. Let me redo those last two things. So for Barb, you have to go to your profile and you need to make sure you click save before you exit out. If you don't click save, if you add something, so if I go here to my preferences and I add a plan and I didn't click save, it's not going to do anything. Kind of, but it shows where buyers are coming from. Andrew, are you with a Coldwell Banker? That is not an IQ feature. But I would send me a message and I can explain that. I know what you're talking about, but that is not an IQ feature. So Barb, it's going to assign that action plan to all new listings after you add it. So if you have listings now, it's not attaching that action plan. But if you created an action plan and you want to add it to a listing, you would click on your listing. So you go to the listing page, listings. Yep. And then you open up the listing and then there's a tab here that says actions. And I can actually add an action plan here on the right-hand side. And I can say, hey, I want this new listing action plans required to add it. And then if you ever want to remove an action plan, you can just click on the delete next to the action plan. Other questions? Great job asking questions, guys. I also want to make sure, do all of you know about our Facebook group and our YouTube channel? Well, if you can go ahead and vote in the poll. I started a poll. Some of you are commenting. So some of you know, some of you do not. We have a Facebook group, and that is a great place to ask questions and oh, that's a cool butter dish. And get information. We try to answer them questions live or via video. There's several of us that do this and interact with you. So you can always ask questions here. Know that the goal of this is really to help you build your business and use the system, not to be a help desk. And so here is where you can actually go in and ask those. It's called Realistic Users. And if you request, we'll approve you to join. We want you to be a part of the group. We also have a YouTube channel. If you are not aware of that, that's a great resource for looking up information. It is called Realistic Support. This is what it looks like. And we're adding new content at least weekly. And it is a really great resource. We also post all of our webinars and our on our YouTube channel as well as on Facebook. There's also a whole bunch of playlists. This is tiny, just a second. So there's information like webinars and manager information and website editing and setting up your profile. There is a whole bunch of information here for you to use. But those are two great online resources. We're just about at that 40-minute mark. I promised that I would keep this under 45 minutes for you all. So I do want to make sure that I'm honoring that. I really appreciate all of you coming today. I hope you learned something. And now it's a matter of getting it on your calendar to go in and do it. So thank you so much for joining us. There is the Facebook group again for you. We want you to be a part, and there's also the YouTube channel. You will get a recording of this video here in the next half hour to your email, and this will also be posted. So I hope you all have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. You're welcome. Thank you for saying thank you.